Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, but we're going to have a look at another brewery who I have never tried anything from before. And as I've told you in many reviews before, I do enjoy introducing you guys to these very small and kind of unheard of Swedish breweries. There's somewhere in the region of 450 to 500 breweries in Sweden these days, and you can really find some gems when you go to the very small breweries because the home brewing culture here is very, very strong, mainly because of how strict the laws have been regarding alcohol sales over the last few years. So for this review then, we are going to go to the historic Småland province, which is a little bit to the northeast of me here in Lund in Skåne. And we're going to go to a little place called Älmhult, which is of course home to the first ever IKEA store that ever existed here in Sweden. So for this one then, we are going to go just outside of the town to Vareböke, and we're having a look at my first ever beer from Vareböke Bryggeri. And this is one that really just caught my eye because of the name of it. You'll know if you've watched the channel before, my family connections to Japan. So this particular beer is called the Tokyo Lager. It comes in at 4.5% ABV and it's brewed with rice and with yuzu fruit as well, actually, which is a very nice Japanese citrus fruit. It's almost kind of got the taste, it's got the kind of, it tastes a little bit more like lime, but it's got the kind of pungency, if you like, of like grapefruit or lemon, actually. It's got a really interesting kind of unusual citrusy taste to it. But this particular beer was released as part of the Lokalt hos Moskolikt assortment in Systembolaget for June 2020, and yeah, like I say, I got this one because it was a brewery I hadn't heard of, and two, you know, the Tokyo Lager, my family connections to Japan. I do enjoy a good Japanese lager, actually. I would say that when it comes to macro lagers, I think that the Japanese actually do have some very nice ones. I do enjoy Asahi, I like Yebisu, Sapporo as well, and you know, the Kirin ones can be pretty nice as well. The Kirin Premium Malts series always tends to be pretty nice, actually, and as I say, that's industrial beer, quite a world away from craft beer, but I would say that when it comes to big produced beers, the Japanese do a pretty good job. It was the Germans that taught them to brew back in the day, from what I understand, actually, so unsurprising that they're pretty good at it. But yeah, very curious to see how this one turns out. I do enjoy the Japanese takes on the lagers, of course, so hopefully this one turns out to be nice, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this beer as well. So let's see how we get on then. Always cool to introduce you guys to another very small Swedish brewery as well. So yeah, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that hopefully I can do in the future from Vareböke Bryggeri. This is the very first time I'm trying one of their beers, but there are a couple more available in Systembolaget. There's all the usual social media down there as well. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Vareböke Bryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So this brewery was founded back in 2015 by Jonathan Kramer, Jakob Nekui, if I'm pronouncing that name right, and then Gustav and Victor Löf. So they began home brewing, first with a starter kit, and then they gradually just kind of scaled up and took all their information from books and the internet and various other places. But they officially registered the business a little bit later, and they went on to do well in a Young Entrepreneur of the Year competition in Kronoberg County back in 2016. So the first brewery that they have is located on a farm in Vareböke, just outside of Älmhult in Kronoberg County, which, like I say, is in the kind of southwestern part of the historic Småland province. It looks as if it's about halfway kind of between Kristianstad in the northeast corner of Skåne to the south and Växjö a little bit to the north, but it's kind of off to the west a little bit. It's kind of difficult, I guess, to picture that on the map, if you like, but it is kind of in the middle of not a lot, to be quite honest with you. It is quite rural, this brewery, but they started off with a very small 200 litre brewing plant, and like I say, they are another farm brewery, another gårdsbrygger, if you like. But Gustav and Jonathan were working at IKEA when the brewery started, while Jakob and Victor were studying, and I think they are all kind of in different jobs and things at the moment now as well. But the brewery is a part-time venture. They premiered their beers in 2018 at Brasserie Gauriet in Älmhult. And soon after that, they got their beers into Systembolaget as well. And today, there are 5 different varieties of beer that are available in Systembolaget that you can order. I believe you can order these nationwide actually at the moment. But as of June 2020, when I'm producing this review for you, they've produced 6 different beers. The first beer that they produced, I believe, was the Småland Pale Ale. And there are a few other lagers and things like that in there as well, but still a very, very small operation. I believe they're going through the process at the moment of getting more tanks and things like that and just gradually scaling up. And the articles that I read on beernews.se say that they do want to kind of gradually scale up and, you know, make this a business that they can earn their full-time living from actually. So yeah, pretty impressive that it's, you know, it's just a very small brewery. These guys are very, very young. I think they're you know, they're probably the same age as me. I think they're kind of in their mid to late 20s. So yeah, quite cool to see that people this young are kind of starting up breweries and things like that. This has got to be one of the youngest breweries, I think, that I've come across in Sweden so far. The other one where I think the people are about the same age would be Secret Sisters Brewing in Malmö, of course, but they haven't really started up their own brewing facility yet. But yeah, as I say, my first encounter with this brewery, and I hope that this one turns out to be a nice beer. So if you want to learn more about this brewery, you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and of course you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all of the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. Very curious to see how this one turns out, as I said. So yeah, this particular beer is called the Tokyo Lager. Comes in at 4.5% ABV, and you can see the artwork there is pretty damn nice, pretty modern. You can see there is the bottle cap on this one, and it does tell you a little bit on the side about it here. So let's see if I can translate this for you. So it says this beer is was made together with the winner of the Mac SM contest, Victor Lind. It was brewed at Vareböke Farm, a long way from the big city's pulse, or the big city heart, I guess you could translate that to. But even though it's from the world's big cities, metropolis, with Tokyo in mind, we created, even though it's saying anyway, this beer is, even though it's far from the world's metropolises, but it has Tokyo in mind, we took the inspiration to make this ale. In the wild Smålandsk forest jungles, we made this urban, basically saying it's far away from the urban city jungle, if you like. The result was a handmade beer with a hand-brewed lager with a citrusy twist to it. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you can't really directly translate some of these words, if you like, but yeah, basically they're saying they had this beer is made in the countryside, far, far away from the big pulse of the cities and things. They took into account the world's biggest city when they were making this one. So yeah, well, I don't know if Tokyo's the biggest city anymore. I would have thought it was like Delhi or New Delhi in India actually. But it says on the side here, Tokyo Lager is a light lager made with citrus taken from the fruit yuzu. So yeah, 4.5% ABV with this one, Vareböke Bryggeri in the Småland countryside. So yeah, and there you can see these are the kanjis for Tokyo on the front of the lager there. So yeah, cool. Let's get this guy out and we will get on with the tasting then. A 4.5% lager beer, this one, brewed with, it says it contains barley malt, unmalted rice, yeast, hops and yuzu, and of course water, main component of the beer of course. But yeah, let's get this guy out and we will get on with the taste, and then very curious to see how this beer turns out. But yeah, this one is a recipe of Victor Lind. So yeah, pretty cool actually. But yeah, nicely presented this one, I have to say. And you know, the main reason, as I say, for picking this one was it was a brewery I hadn't heard of. And of course the Japanese kitchen, you can smell the yuzu coming off of this straight away. It's a very, very pungent fruit, like I said. It's got a flavour a little bit more like lime, but it does have the pungency you'd get from the likes of grapefruit or lemon, to be honest. But yeah, definitely a hazy looking lager. That's probably a mixture of the rice and the yuzu that's doing that to it. You can see there's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy white head on this one, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head there. If I put my fingers behind the glass, you can see this one is pretty damn hazy actually, which is surprising for a lager. Normally you would expect the lager to be quite clear. If we shine the light through it, I would say this one is a pretty damn bright yellow colour. It's it almost looks a little bit like a New England sort of session IPA or something like that. It's nowhere near as hazy as you're going to get from the regular IPAs or the doubles or whatever, but yeah, this one could pass in terms of appearance for a New England Pale Ale or something like that. But yeah, looks pretty nice. So a little bit surprised that this one is hazy, to be honest with you, but it will likely be the yuzu or the rice, or the rice I should say, that will be doing that. So yeah, let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this one. So yeah, straight away with this, it's the yuzu that jumps out at you, and this, I have to say, this one strikes me as being a kind of more wet and juicy yuzu compared to some of the other ones that I've come across previously. I've had a good few yuzu beers. I'm sure it was like the Garden Temple yuzu that I had from Beard Beer in Japan. I've had a few, I had a yuzu IPA I think from Ise Kadoya, from Mie Prefecture over in Japan as well actually. I'm trying to think if I've had a few European beers that have had yuzu in them as well. I'm sure I've had like yuzu wit beers and things like that as well from a couple of breweries. But yeah, the yuzu is a really, really interesting, as I say, very, very pungent fruit. I've no idea where you would actually manage to get a hold of these in Japan, in Sweden rather, if you would have to import them from Japan. But they're usually grown, I think, down in the sort of in the Kyushu region, if I remember rightly. They need quite a fairly warm climate from what I remember, so they're probably grown at the bottom of Honshu, the main island, or kind of in Kyushu as well. Probably you can grow them in the likes of like Ehime and things like that as well actually, in Kagawa Prefecture. So yeah, you can probably grow them down there actually. So yeah, South Japan basically these things are probably grown. I don't know if you can get them as far south as Okinawa. I don't remember seeing yuzu farms down in Okinawa. And in fairness, I don't remember seeing them in Kyushu either, come to think of it, but we didn't look. But yeah, the aroma, this one, as I say, the yuzu kind of dominates everything, to be honest with you. You can smell a little bit of a kind of ricey quality coming out of this one. You know, rice is very distinctive when it's used in brewing. You know, you get that lovely kind of smooth note that you get almost from sake. You can definitely smell a little bit of that in there. It's got a very clean note to it. You can check out my sake reviews as well if you are interested. There's a good 20 or so of them up here on the channel now. But yeah, the aroma that comes out of this one, I have to say, is lovely. I really like how this goes together. You can definitely smell some of the rice coming out of this one. It's definitely got a little bit of a kind of earthy, herbally kind of thing coming out of the fruit as well. It's got a little bit of that kind of wet earth, herbally type note coming out of the yuzu, which is great. But yeah, you can smell a little bit. There's a good bit of a kind of grassy and floral aromatic quality coming out of this one from the hops. Of course, I'm guessing that probably they've used Soriachi Ace in this, which is only going to kind of contribute more to the citrusy vibe that the beer has. You get a good bit of a lemony zest out of this one, which again I think is the Soriachi Ace. I've got a good feeling that just from the aroma of this one, it is the Soriachi Ace in there. There's a little touch of earthiness, as I say, a good bit of floral character, some grassiness, and a bit of a lemony citrus. And there's you can maybe get just a little hint of a kind of biscuity note with this one as well, but underneath it's the citrus that dominates the aroma. Underneath that you definitely get a little bit of a ricey quality, and there's some nice kind of floral aromaticity and a bit of a lighter kind of grassy quality to the beer as well. But yeah, really interesting smelling beer, this one, but you know, as you would expect with a fruit as pungent as yuzu, that dominates the aroma. But let's have a taste of this one then and see how we get on. This one is the Tokyo Lager, coming in at 4.5% ABV from Vareböke Bryggeri in Kronoberg County in the southwest of the historic Småland province here in Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Yeah, that's pretty nice, I have to say. It is very much along the line. It is very much kind of along the lines of a fruit beer almost. It does. If I was blind tasting this, I might not guess straight away that it's a lager, because you know the main reason for that would be you don't come across very many rice lagers, to be honest with you. But yeah, it does, and the further you go into the aftertaste with this one, it does give you the a kind of lager type feel to it. And the thing that I'm glad with this is that the yuzu doesn't overpower everything in it. Yuzu, it's a very, very pungent fruit, so you do have to use it in moderation when it comes to brewing, because otherwise it just, you know, overpowers everything. But they have got the ratio with this one on really nicely, actually. So thumbs up to Victor Lind for the recipe here. Yeah, I do like how this one goes together. The thing that you'll always find with the rice lagers is they come across as very clean, but almost a little bit more oily in the middle of the palate too. But they're not sweet in the same way as you're going to get from the likes of a German Pilsner that uses a bit of Carapils malt or something like that. It's just this oily, kind of smooth sweetness you get out of them, actually. There's quite a few countries use rice in brewing the beers. Japan's not the only one. I mean, if you go to Thailand, the likes of Chang and Singha, I believe both of those beers use rice in the brewing process, and you get just this kind of cleanliness out of the things. I do like an Asian rice lager. I've always enjoyed those beers, to be honest with you. Even before, I think even before I went out to Asia, I really enjoyed those beers. But yeah, this one is nice. This gets a thumbs up from me. I wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. It's a bit of a shame that it's probably only brewed on a very small scale. I don't know if this is a beer that has been brewed as a sort of one-off, or if it will become a regular or what, but it would be cool to see this one come back and be brewed on a slightly larger scale, because it is quite nicely done. This is a good summer lager, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, let's try and break down the flavour a bit then. Straight away with this beer, you can feel a little bit of that kind of Pilsner malt, the crispness you get out of that blankets the middle of the tongue, but the rice kind of smoothens it out on the top. So the middle third of your tongue, you can feel the kind of Pilsner base and the sort of ricey oiliness there, and that goes all the way to the back of the palate there too. But in the back corners of the palate, there's a little touch of a lighter earthiness coming out of this one. As you move further forward along the sides of the palate, there's a nice little bit of a floral kind of aromaticity there. It's got a little bit of an almost Germany type quality to it. It's got a little bit of the noble note, but Soriachi Ace, I remember it having a little bit of that type of that kind of quality to it. And I know there are a few places in Japan producing their own hops now, but as far as I remember, Soriachi Ace, you only really get the one that's grown in America these days. So if you do get Soriachi Ace hops, I don't know how easy it is to get the Japanese ones, but there's other hops, you know, some of the breweries like Uchu brewing over in Japan, of course, those guys that started that are farmers, so they grow their own hops as well. There are a few different hop varieties popping up in Japan these days. So I don't know, maybe there is a bit of a Japanese hop in this one, but I do suspect Soriachi Ace, along maybe with one of the noble hops like the Hallertau or the Tananger or something like that. But yeah, the hoppy side of this beer is pretty nice. So yeah, you can feel that, just a little touch of earthiness there. Becomes a little bit more herbal as you get further forward, some nice floral aromaticity. Then round the front curve of the palate, like I said, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy. And then behind the front curve of the tongue, of course, that's where you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. And it's got the yuzu is kind of interesting. You can feel the yuzu just creeping back on your palate with this one. So we'll focus on that fruity side just now. So at the front part of the palate, there's a little bit of that kind of lemony, zesty type quality coming out of this one, which will be from the hops there. And this is, like I say, I do suspect that there's maybe Hallertau or Tananger in here as the base hop, then a bit of Soriachi Ace on top. I would suspect that's what it is. I don't know. It could purely be Soriachi Ace, right enough, or I can't think of other hops that would give you, there's just something distinctive about the flavour profile on this one. Could well be wrong on that. I always like playing guess the hops, as I said. But yeah, with the yuzu things, the thing that the fruit always does when you add it into beer, it suppresses a little bit of the bitterness that you normally get from this beer. So this one to me has very low IBUs, because you always get the juiciness from the fruit just suppressing the kind of hoppy and bitter part of the beer. So around the very front curve of the tongue, you can feel that slightly darker yuzu flavour coming out in this one, but it's got about the same, as I said to you earlier, yuzu really has a bit of a kind of limey type vibe to it, but it does have a bit more of a kind of pungency that you'd associate with like grapefruit or lemons, to be honest. But you can feel the yuzu sitting there on the front of the palate, and as you go further and further back, it's got a nice little bit of a, you know, you can feel there's a little bit more of a kind of herbally, earthy type note almost coming out of the yuzu character in there. So yeah, I like how this one, I do like how this goes together actually. It's got a nice, it does have a nice vibe to it, this lager, I have to say. So thumbs up to Vareböke Bryggeri for this one, for how this has turned out, and also to Victor Lind for the recipe. This is really nice. Just really nicely blended. I'd love to see what the base lager tastes like in this as well, one without the yuzu, just to see. It would be a really interesting comparison, that just to really get an idea of how pungent the yuzu actually is, because I don't think the yuzu dominates the beer too much, but by nature yuzu is a very kind of strong flavour, to be honest with you, and you do get more of it towards the back of the palate as you go further into the aftertaste. But this is a really nicely done beer, this one. It's pretty straight up, it's a straight shooter, good summer lager for me. So yeah, thumbs up to Victor Lind and to Vareböke Bryggeri for this beer. In terms of the mouthfeel then, I'd say this one is fairly light-bodied, but it's towards the top end of light-bodied. It's definitely a bit heavier than you would normally expect from like a lager or pilsner style beer. I think it's definitely fair to say that. It does have a little bit of an oiliness to the character, which is what you get with a rice lager, and the fruit will be contributing to that a little bit as well. So yeah, quite an oily but still fairly light-bodied beer, at the top end of light-bodied, I would say. In terms of bitterness from this beer, I think we're talking maybe about 15-ish, 20 IBUs at an absolute push. The yuzu is giving a little bit more of a kind of citrusy. You know, it's giving a bit more bitterness. This one actually, you do get a good bit of bitterness from the hops in this. Although in fairness, it's more, in fact no, it's not bitterness, it's sourness. You do get a good bit of sourness actually from the yuzu in this. So I think, yeah, bitterness I would say is about 15 IBUs in this one, whereas you're getting a bit more kind of sourness, if you like, from the fruits, which is quite nice. You get that sourness from the citrusy, zesty kind of side of the fruits. But yeah, malt base, as I say, very smooth and slightly oily. Not really sweet, more oily rather than anything else. Nice kind of juiciness to the fruit, and you've got a little bit of a kind of floral, grassy side of it as well. But overall, a very, very nice beer, this one, and I'm glad that I was able to review this for you here on the channel. This is a really nice one, and it's cool to see the sort of Japanese influence creeping into to Sweden a little bit. There's quite a lot of people are interested in Japan here, I have to say, but yeah, cool to see a yuzu lager produced in the middle of Småland. Who would have thought? So yeah, definitely a nice beer to review, this one. I'll need to try some of the other beers from these guys and see what they've got going on, but it was really cool to review this one. Check out you know, other beers from this brewery. I will see about reviewing something else from them fairly soon. But yeah, thank you again for watching my reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Vareböke Bryggeri as well. We will return to them at some point soon. And yeah, hopefully there are some more yuzu lagers up here in Sweden, because I think this was really nice. But I think it would be cool to try the base lager that went into this one too. But yeah, the Tokyo lager coming in at 4.5% ABV from Vareböke Bryggeri in Småland in Kronoberg County, in the southwest of the historic Småland prefecture. But the recipe, of course, created by Victor Lind. Till the next time, Slange just now, and I'll catch you guys later. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer. Let me know your favourite beers from Vareböke Bryggeri, and I will catch you guys soon. Slange, skål, cheers.